Hey everybody, I've been seeing a lot of people make reaction videos of people from TikTok, and they're saying how everything is so expensive. Yeah, things probably are expensive, but there's a lot of things you can do to lower your expenses. Of course, increasing your income, that's one side of it. Lowering your expenses is another. People poo-poo just eating rice and beans, but that's probably one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself, and that's not expensive. Even the sugar fast, you a big bottle of orange juice or whatever juice you like, that's not expensive. You could do that to get some nutrition and satiate your hunger. I don't know if you have anything to say about any of these things.
So I would say that yes, I think things are more expensive than you and I maybe realize and feel. You and I have a small household to run, and we happen to have really good zero interest credit that we've been able to rely on during this whole increase, price of eggs, price of this or that, and the poultry industry having all these issues, and we haven't felt the pinch or the pain, I think, because of some factors that are unique to us. We've had a whole pantry full of food in there that we've been able to dig into, that we've had
for
too long, and so we haven't had to feel the pinch of increased prices. So I think maybe the reality is more real out there for a lot of families.
Oh, of course. There's a lot of things, a person can still do. Why are you paying for cable when you can watch everything on the same things you watch on cable that you're paying for, you can watch on your phone? Why are you paying depending upon the area you live in, you may not even need to pay for Wi-Fi internet because your phone will have 5G. So we still need to pay for Wi-Fi ourselves. We sometimes have 5G, sometimes we don't, but
Wi-Fi, it's unreliable.
Yeah, Wi-Fi gives us a better connection. So
that's good feedback. Good suggestion to help people make decisions in their situation. But to be honest, it's easy for you and I to apply those kind of suggestions when it's just the two of us accommodating each other. We don't have teenage kids to wrestle with, and people who are accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So if I'm accustomed to a certain lifestyle and I don't want to give up XYZ, I just can put it on the credit card, zero interest credit card. But you wouldn't be able to do that with a family of 6, or
True. Well, you have to think of something. You could either work more and try to afford everything, or you can try to find ways to lower your expenses. You still might have to work more, but you probably won't have to work as much. So, of course, everybody's situation is different, but no one ever, there's some people living in their cars. I saw one video, the guy was saying he was freezing at night. I don't know where he was. I'd help him out if I could, but if you have to live in your car and you're in a cold environment, you just buy a sleeping bag with rated for temperatures below the lowest in your area, or even for negative temperatures. And you can be in a freezing car, but you'll be warm inside the sleeping bag.
I think that we're seeing, as we're scrolling through all these videos that people are posting, people are finding solutions to the problem, very creative solutions. So you and I have been at it for over 15 years together since we were married. How to solve the problem of finances. If the price of product goes up, how do we accommodate that in our family budget? Initially, our reaction was, yeah, let's just put in more hours at work. Let's pick up more shifts. Let's put in more hours on the road doing deliveries. Whatever it was our employment at the time. Come to realize that our personalities actually restrain our good intentions quite significantly. We found that, in fact, we weren't putting in those extra hours that we had hoped. We thought we could continue purchasing as much as we always did, thinking that we were putting in those extra hours when we weren't, because our personalities just weren't like that. And I think when people are solving that problem, being honest with yourself, evaluating what kind of person am I found recently that I would look at my week and I say, I'm feeling fresh, I'm feeling recovered from my weekend, and I'm looking at my shifts for the week. Oh, I could add another 3 shifts and bring in a little extra money and pay off the credit card like this or like that and meet these goals, financial goals. By the time I'm working my way through those shifts, now I'm wishing I didn't have them. I'm crying, going home early, creating problems for myself where I now have work commitment problems and things like that. And then coming to realize, okay, first of all, I need to know myself well enough so I don't overcommit. So I'm solving the financial issues practically in a way that I can actually pull off, you know. So I think it's a complex question. It's not just stop spending the money on things like cable. It's not just putting in more work hours. It's how can I cope at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to it. You know, rent's increasing. We got lucky and have a nice landlord. It doesn't dramatically raise the rent, but I've looked at our budget, and even if we did happen to move into a higher rent place, yes, we wouldn't be saving as much money, but depending upon where we move, we'd be able to save something. You know, if you're living in your car, one of the issues is trying to find a place to sleep. Well, try to get a graveyard shift, because you can sleep anywhere in the daytime. Nobody's gonna hassle you sleeping in the daytime. But there's a lot of people, I mean, our culture says, oh, live by yourself, and that makes paying for rent a lot harder as well. You just have to look around. I know roommates isn't the best thing, but you just have to look around. Sometimes homeowners are renting out their garage or things like that. And I know there's room shares. I guess we all just have to do what we have to do.
It's hard out there for a lot of us, and hang in there, you know, one day at a time. And I know it's going to get easier, and the solutions are going to come. And I know God's going to give you wisdom, so.
And it's easier said than done, but I know during the Great Depression, people would get on trains and all kinds of stuff to move around and look for work. You could do the same thing. You may not want to move, but you can look nationwide for jobs, and you'll probably find one, but you may have to move to do it.
I really respected my aunt. She was a really neat example in this concept. When I had just finished college, I needed somewhere to live temporarily while I sorted myself out and made decisions. And I ended up staying with her for like a year and a half. I had the chance to observe her. She had just come from a very lucrative position as somebody who made a lot of decent money, had a beautiful home, had very well respected clientele, and because of situations beyond her control, she lost her business. She lost that income, and she had a surplus so that she could have a buffer of several months where she didn't have to immediately find new work to replace that. But in the end, she actually had to take any employment that was available. She found herself in a very small town where the options were very minimal, and you could see her heart, humble, persevering, genuine. Her employment did not describe her character or her sense of well-being. She had to put her hand to magnet making so that she could keep a roof over her son's head, my head. I was staying with her, and I learned a lot by her decision making. She was a very open person where she allowed me to learn through her and from her, and that's always stuck with me. You don't need to be afraid of putting your hands to whatever God brings your way in terms of meeting those employment situations. Don't restrict yourself to defining yourself by your employment. And you and I have talked about this sometimes, and it's a reality. Our society looks down on certain professions where I have felt embarrassed to acknowledge, oh, I worked at Walmart for a while. Oh, I was a CNA helping in people's homes for a while. Oh, we work at Amazon now. And it's hard not to define yourself by your employment, because when you introduce yourself to somebody, that's the first thing they ask you. What do you do? That's the first way you describe yourself. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, and it gives the perspective of a certain kind of elevated status in society, when we shouldn't define ourselves by what we do.
True. A lot of people, there's nothing wrong with it. If you want a job for social status, go ahead and get one. But at the end of the day, all that matters, are you able to set aside money or have enough money to have the life and future you want? Sure, on some lower paying jobs, you may not be able to. But if someone works, if someone's a janitor at a school and he's able to save money for the future so he can retire or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of Dave Ramsey callers you hear that make billions of dollars a year, and they say we don't have any money for retirement. So we use a app called YNAB that's kind of helped us to see our finances in a different way, to get things in order a bit more. They're not the only app you can probably use a lot, but you should learn, at least look into and learn their methodology that you could use. You could implement it on pen and paper or whatever. It's kind of envelope-based budgeting, I think they say. But I know one mistake people make is they'll use an entire paycheck to pay a bill instead of setting aside a little bit each paycheck they get, and that creates where they need to work more, or things that are a lot more difficult. If your apartment is, or if you have a bill that's $200 a month, don't Don't just take that 200 out of one paycheck. Take a little bit out of each paycheck for all your bills, and that should make things easier eventually. Wells Fargo, last I knew, they were offering a Reflect card where it's 21 months, 0% interest. If you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole, and if you can learn to do your finances properly, you'd be able to use that in a way to help you get out of the hole. But if you don't know how to do that in your head right now, I wouldn't recommend doing that.
It's just some little life lessons from us. We're definitely not, swimming in wealth. If you're looking, if you're looking at our status and saying, I don't want to follow your advice because you're just in a rented apartment, you don't have fancy this or that, and those things maybe are what a lot of people say, the proof is in the pudding. You don't got much pudding around. And I would agree. But this is just us wanting to share from our personalities, our wherewithal, our backgrounds, our upbringing, what we can bring to the table. How have we been able to manage the difficulties in life? Just a few things that we've learned. We really had to find that YNAB app, and that's really given us good structure and good, they have really great training videos on finances, how to view finances, how to work through the pressures of life in regards to applying that paycheck so it spreads through the month. We've really benefited from a lot of these tools.
Yes. So be sure to ask any questions. We have to ask questions so we can talk to you. We can converse and have more content.
No, we just like monologues. We're introverts, so we do a lot of our time thinking, and then when we actually have a chance to talk, it's all monologue.
Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you when we see you.
Ciao.
Bye, fatty.
What you calling me?